Chinese officials announced additional military drills around Taiwan as the island's president met with members of another U.S. congressional delegation. Meanwhile, Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to make a visit to Saudi Arabia this week. A grand reception is reportedly being prepared for Xi, unlike the muted welcome President Biden received in July. A number of economic agreements could come from that visit. So joining me now on this is Phelim Kine. He is a D.C.-based China correspondent for Politico. So thanks for joining us, Phelim. So, this latest congressional delegation that is in Taiwan, obviously this trip has been planned for a long time. They don't just sort of pop up on the calendar. Still, it's just 12 days after Nancy Pelosi. China now has renewed its call for additional drills. What is the delegation there for? Why are they in Taiwan?
Well, I think what we see here is the Chinese government reaping a really predictable U.S. congressional counter-reaction to the Chinese government's hysterical response to Speaker Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. And what we have a bipartisan delegation, 5 members led by Ed Markey of Massachusetts. And essentially what they're doing is they are symbolizing defiance against Chinese efforts to intimidate U.S. support for Taiwan and demonstrating U.S. support for Taiwan as it undergoes this sort of increasingly sort of saber-rattling threats from the mainland. But I think there's also it's important to remember there's political capital to be gained by congressional members going to Taiwan. The latest Pew Research Center survey says that more than 80% of Americans hold negative views about China. And that's even before this kerfuffle over the Pelosi visit to Taiwan. So for congressional delegations to go to Taiwan, it's a really good way for congressional members to sort of burnish their foreign policy credentials and demonstrate that they are facing down this perception of a China threat. So I can tell you, we're going to see kind of an on-stop sort of conga line of congressional delegations and aspirant GOP presidential candidates like former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo going to Taiwan in the run-up to the midterms and sort of demonstrating that they're on the ground, they're facing down China, and sending these types of signals.
So with these new military drills that the Chinese are going to be conducting around Taiwan, has there been a response at all from the United States to those drills? Because, they happen on a fairly regular basis. Anytime there's any kind of diplomatic efforts made in Taiwan, China says, oh, by the way, we're going to be conducting military drills. We see that also with North Korea when the United States and South Korea are working together or conducting their own military drills.
Yeah, we're now at the point, you got to remember that these types of Chinese military incursions into Taiwan's air defense identification zone have been going on for a long time. And to a certain extent, they've become sort of more form than substance. At the operational level, the Chinese PLA communicates and makes sure that its opposite numbers on the Taiwan side know what's coming. They're trying to maintain this projection of anger and force, but at the same time, they don't want to push it to the point where there could be a potential, accidental or not, confrontation in the Taiwan Strait. And so this is an understanding that both the U.S. and Taiwan authorities have. Having said that, there is a lot of military hardware, naval and otherwise, in the Taiwan Strait. We have like the USS Ronald Reagan nearby. And so what's really worrying is the potential for a potential accidental confrontation in that area that could have really profound negative consequences.
I want to talk about China. Xi Jinping, China is Saudi Arabia's largest trading partner, its largest buyer of Saudi oil. Xi Jinping is now going to be visiting the country. He hasn't really left the country an awful lot in the last couple of years because of the pandemic. Yeah. Right. So what is the significance of this visit?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Xi Jinping hasn't gone overseas since January 2020. And after that, basically China sealed its borders as part of its zero COVID strategy. So it's really significant that, number one, Xi Jinping's leaving China for the first time. And second, his choice of Saudi Arabia as that destination really checks 2 of China's and Xi Jinping's key boxes. And number one, it's reaffirming ties with a key energy supplier that's essential for China's economic engine, right? So it's extremely pragmatic. But the second reason why Xi wants to go to Saudi Arabia is he's going to be welcomed. It's going to allow him to project power and influence. He's going to get the red carpet treatment in a way that President Biden did not want. There will be no sort of like awkward fist bumps with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as Biden did when he visited. You're going to see the full court press of diplomatic welcome. And the thing that Xi wants is what he doesn't want is he wants to avoid any type of public protests where he goes about things like its human rights record, its abuse of Xinjiang Uyghurs, its intimidation and the evisceration of rule of law in Hong Kong, and its military intimidation of Taiwan. And none of that will happen in authoritarian Saudi Arabia. So it's a safe bet and is a good investment for him to go there.
And Phelim, I'm wondering too if this is a way for him to show that China has formidable allies. Because the other ally we've been talking a lot about is Russia. And maybe, certainly the two leaders, Putin and Xi Jinping, had made a show of how close they are several months ago. But maybe, Xi Jinping wants the world to know he has other friends too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, the thing is that, China has been benefiting from these, Ukraine invasion fire sale prices on Russian oil over the last, since the invasion began in February. But this visit sends a message to Russia, like, we also have a really good supplier over here in Saudi Arabia. They are our close friends. And, for Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi, this visit allows him to communicate to the U.S. that, we have a long relationship, but we have other friends too, and you need to be careful in terms of how you handle the U.S.-Saudi relationship because China likes us a lot.
Yeah. Phelim Kine, really great to have you. Really excellent reporting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.